Up the opposite of hate, love, and recognition. Kristina Wong is getting a whole lot of both of those things lately. Some of it was so shocking she had to up and leave the room. The overlord of the Auntie Sewing Squad is with us to explain after this brief break.
Remember how I made you a mask in the pandemic? You owe me. Come see this show.
Performance artist Kristina Wong, who launched a project during the early days of the pandemic, making masks for those in need. Those experiences turned into a play, Kristina Wong's Sweatshop Overlord, and that play is earning Wong a whole lot of kudos. On this, the final day of Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month, I am so honored to bring back this phenomenally talented woman, Kristina Wong. Mazel tov! You're on fire, lady.
I can't believe this is so bananas.
It is bananas. And we're going to talk about
Pulitzer finalists.
I know.
This is so nuts.
I know. We're going to get to that. But just quickly, for those who've missed our previous conversations, basically, this pandemic was a huge blow to you, right? You're a performing artist, but you can't do that because the world shut down. So you make masks instead. You launched the Sewing Squad. When did you have that light bulb moment of hey, this could be a play, this whole experience?
About 1 month into this, my friend Leilani Chan, who's artistic director of a small company called Tieta Productions in LA, said, we're going to experiment with Zoom theater. Do you want to try doing an hour of something or just try something? And I was like, I am trying to make masks right now so civilization doesn't end. And she said, no, you're still an artist. And I was like, the only thing on my brain is trying to figure out where to get elastic right now. And so it was just sort of a free form Zoom piece from my bedroom about just sort of what I had witnessed in the span of 1 month. And then I just kept getting invitations to perform from my home throughout lockdown. And I just kept making new scenes up until the moment we were at in the pandemic. The New York Theater Workshop asked it to open their season off Broadway in New York, and ran for 4 weeks. It was a New York Times critics pick, and now I'm a Pulitzer finalist. It's like none of this, you couldn't tell me this was going to happen 2 years ago, and I'd be like, oh yeah, sure.
Well,
totally. I mean, it's not even why I signed up for it, but
But isn't that just life?
This is a nice bonus.
It is. Well, let's talk about
crazy.
this Act 3 moment. Okay, you find out that this play is on the Pulitzer Prize shortlist. You're having lunch with friends when the news broke. Take me back to that moment. What goes on in your brain?
So my friend Glenn Corrado of World Harvest Food Bank, Auntie Ann, her daughter Grace, another friend Grace, we were just sitting there and my phone starts blowing up and it's like, Pulitzer nom, whoa, Pulitzer? And I was like, I knew they were announcing him that day, but I thought, no way. They tend, only Anna Deavere Smith has been the other solo artist to get one. And then there's so many plays that have been out. I was like, well, how is my crazy play about running a sweatshop in the pandemic going to be a Pulitzer shortlist anything?
Because you're awesome is why.
Yes, thank you. That's why I keep you on the payroll. But and I just screamed and I couldn't sit still. We started screaming in the restaurant. My friend Glenn was like, she's a finalist for the Pulitzer Prize. And everyone's like, what? What's a playwright? That's LA. What's a playwright? What's a Pulitzer? And I'm just in the streets screaming and running back and forth. I can't sit still. And it's been like that for the last 3 weeks. I just can't even believe. It sounds so fancy. I was so convinced. You know how there's Michael Kors and then there's the Michael Kors outlet? I was like, is this the real Pulitzer or is it from the Pulitzer outlet? What happened? How
It's the real one, Christine. I think you figured it out. It's the real one. And there's additional, the cherry on top of it is that you've made history here. You are officially the first Asian American woman to become a Pulitzer Prize finalist. What does this mean?
In drama.
In drama. But what talk about what this means on the grander scheme and for future women. Yeah.
It's so crazy because when I think about this, I think so much of how I learned about theater was usually defined by old white men, right? And that this was a space that I wasn't always welcome in, but it was the only space I could kind of carve for my voice. And, when I think of Pulitzers, I think Thornton Wilder and Tennessee Williams and like these big people you hear of. And then it's like Kristina Wong, Sweatshop Overlord. It's just so incredible and meaningful, because for me, I wanted to make this show not just because, my friend Leilani's like, you should make this piece and capture it, but really I was witnessing in the pandemic that the way Asian Americans might be remembered in this moment were as the people who might quote unquote be carrying the virus or are the ones being beat up and attacked in the street. And I was witnessing something else. I was witnessing a lot of Asian Americans who are aunties in our group. We had over 800 aunties across 33 states. Many of them were Asian American women, and I was witnessing them sew masks for people they'd never met before. I was witnessing a sort of racial solidarity with other vulnerable groups that I really wanted the world to see and know was possible, that we aren't just apolitical people sitting back and being scared or not saying things, that we were actually taking action. And I knew that no one was going to remember that story as well as I could. Yeah. And so that was so much about what bringing this story forward into history was about. And so to have this acknowledgement makes it that much more significant for this story, for the work of the aunties, and hopefully for other Asian American women and just Asian American folks who want to tell their story, because we don't have enough of our narrative out there. And we have so many different kinds of narratives.
Yes. There's more to this, which is that you also just won the Lucille Lortel Award for Outstanding Solo Performance in New York. So much great stuff. But we should note, Kristina, this is a really sharp contrast from where you were in 2016. You submitted for the Pulitzer, then you didn't win. We've got less than a minute left, but this is such a great story. Can you tell us about the piece? I submitted
you can submit for the Pulitzer, I think it's like $75, and I submitted as a joke to say that I was a Pulitzer contender. I lost to a play called Hamilton. Can you believe it? Has anyone heard of this play? And but the whole joke was to go around saying I'm a Pulitzer contender, and like for my friends who can't tell the difference between contender and finalist, like to just make a purposely blurry, confusing inside joke for myself. So to actually be a real life finalist now is beyond my wildest dreams, and I think my mother wanted this to happen so badly and prayed this into existence. It just took 6 years. So.
Hey, man, you know what they say, better late than never. Kristina Wong, you know everyone here at Inside the Issues is rooting for you, my friend. Best of luck, and thank you for making the time for us tonight.
Thank you so much. This is such an honor. Love you, aunties.
Aw, and